G'day everyone, welcome to what will be the last episode of DB Adventures. Now, I know what you're all thinking is, why? What's going on?
No way. We love you.
Stick around, it's not all bad news. It's actually been 8 years. 8 years since since we did the first video down at Clarence Gorge. G'day, I'm Phil, this is my brother Wayne, and welcome to the very first episode of DB Adventures. And that video was never actually meant to go on YouTube. I actually did that up as, actual DVDs. And just to go out to friends, family, to say, hey, this is what we do, you know, this is how we do it. But a few people who watched it said, you should be sticking that on YouTube. I don't know. It's not really that good, you know. So we did. Well,
it must have been all right then.
Yeah, well, I didn't for a while, but then I thought, it makes it easier. I think we never intended it for it to be anything big or anything. It was just something to make it easier for our friends and families to access. So rather than me just trying to get DVDs and give out copies, I could just say, hey, click on our channel and watch that, and that's what we do. And that was what our whole channel was about and how we started it. So, but back in the day, we were still a bit iffy on the name, weren't we?
Yeah, it was just something we threw up in the air and went, yeah, that'll do.
Yeah, it kind of got like that. It's, in case you're wondering, DB stands for Duncan Brothers. A lot of people have asked, and no, it's not Dodgy Brothers or Doodle Brains or
Dingbats or Dumb Bastards or I mean, to say that.
All these things apply, but that's not what it's for. So, as you can guess, we don't take ourselves seriously in any way, shape or form. So,
no.
But yeah, we struggle a little bit with the name, and so over the years we've sort of just gone with it, but it's always been in the background, just sort of niggling. It was, you know, like, it wasn't really, to me it didn't feel like what we actually do, because when you think about adventures, it's like creating something out of nothing and going and, oh, I'm going to do this today and have this adventure, or I'm going to set this adventure up. And for us, it was a lifestyle. What we were showcasing was what we just did. It wasn't something that we sort of planned too much. It was just, this is what we do and have done for ever.
Yeah,
ever since we were kids. So, I mean, this whole episode tonight, this afternoon, because the sun's slowly going down, was all about who we are and how we came to do what we are doing. Because I guess for anybody new or anybody that's come across our channel that's looking at it and going, well, who are these fellas? Why should I be interested in these fellas? There's a little bit of background, I suppose, in how we came about to do what we do. And also to reveal that, yes, this is the last DB Adventures episode. But right now, as you can see, we are in the middle of Western Queensland, actually filming another episode. But it'll be under a new name, and we're going to, you know, it's not a big reveal or anything for the name, it's just we are going to change it, and we thought if we're going to change it, let's explain why and who we are and the reason why we've decided after 8 years to settle on this name.
Well,
you know, we got families, we got mortgages, we got, you know, full-time jobs, basically everything that most people have. And we're not doing this full-time, we don't get paid, we don't get a single cent out of anything, we're not sponsored, any of those things. We're just two normal fellas that I believe represent 99% of the people that get out there and do this sort of stuff. So to show how we do it and how we do it cheaply, and that's where the whole concept of the mini tinnies, you know, we had those before we even decided to film. It was like, you know, I came across a little boat, and for Wayno, that was the very first one in Clarence Gorge, the very first mini tinny. and he's since upgraded to something bigger, but like a foot bigger.
It's still class of mini tinny.
It's still a
10
mini
foot
tinny.
and under's class of mini tinny.
That's right. So I got that for you for, was it 3 cartons of beer?
Yeah.
And it came with a 4 horsepower motor.
Yep.
So that's what I mean, doing things on the cheap. At that stage I had a little blow up boat. So we had the mini tinny, and as Hales, your daughter, said, she called my one the floaty boaty because it was a little blow up one, little electric motor on it. And I thought, no, that needs to be upgraded. So I ended up finding a little 8 foot tinny. Also, well, it had a 3 horsepower motor at the time. I've since upgraded it to a 4 horsepower. But we can get out there, we can take it to places, drop a boat in, and do that without having a massive big boat hanging off the car. You know, we're keeping weight down,
Well,
and
look at the
having fun. You know,
look at the Lorella Springs episode you did where, you just
right, I mean, if you're brave enough
they
to
went there,
or
went
stupid,
everywhere.
I don't know, what's the brave or stupid?
Crazy.
Anyway, if you want to put a little boat in croc-infested waters, then you know you can still do it.
They don't hurt you
So,
if they don't catch you.
but yeah, I won't go into too much at this stage. But when it comes to the mini tinny, there's a lot of thought involved and a lot of things that I need to have before it goes in the water if it's in croc country. I don't just put it in any body of water, that's for sure. I won't go into it right now, but it's not that blatant. We grew up into an outdoor lifestyle pretty much the same as, I reckon, every single kid in our generation.
Yeah, not this generation, our generation.
There was nothing else to do. Now, my earliest memories, usually far north Queensland. Due to Dad's job at the time, he sort of moved around a lot in Queensland, so we got to see a fair bit of basically Queensland.
Yeah.
So we spent a bit of time right up in far north Queensland, and so as you do when you're up there, you buy a boat.
Yeah.
So Dad bought a 15 foot half cab.
Yeah.
And
it was ugly, but it went.
exactly. But you know, and Dad used to chuck us in there, and we'd head out of Marillion Harbour and up there at Innisfail, and we'd go out to the islands. We'd go out for a picnic, whatever. Do a bit of fishing. You know, there was the tinny, there was the crabs. I can't remember ever. I don't know. I remember Mum going, "Oh, let's have crab for lunch," and just pull them out of the freezer because Dad had been out catching crabs. So that's really what got both of us, I think, into fishing, and we haven't stopped since. So, right from a very young age. Yeah, Dad's always had, you know, there's always the 4-wheel drives. The first one is legendary in our family. It was a Ford Jeep. It was powered by a Ford motor. I'm pretty sure it was a 221. Apparently after the war sometime, it would have been a 60s something, 60 model. Ford were making Jeeps. So started out by the Jeep company. I'm not a Jeep connoisseur, but after the war they sort of changed hands a bit, and Ford had it for a while, and then Chrysler's picked them up, and now Chrysler make them, and etc. But Dad picked this thing up. It still army green. It had no doors, no rear seat, no roof. It was like the Jeep you'd expect, an army Jeep, only looked a little bit different. Dad got this Jeep, and for some reason he decided, right, let's go for a trip. So we were heading to Maytown. But to get to Maytown, we need 2 doors, a roof and a back seat.
Yeah.
So if anyone's ever been to Maytown, Maytown's one of those spots we want to go back. Like none of us have been there since this trip. And I've been to the Cape, but sort of straight past Maytown.
And just to put it in perspective, I think we were like 8 and 6 and something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was
that
about
age.
5 years old.
Around about that age, and
So
I'm now 50 something, he's now 40 something, so you know.
I was about 5, going by the dates.
5 and I would have been
Yeah, so you would have been 8.
something.
How old was Karen? Was she 6 or 7 by that? 3 or 4 by that stage. She was 3.
And Karen is our younger sister.
Our younger sister Karen was 3 years old. So Dad's decided, right, 2 doors.
Yep.
Down to local hardware, a couple of planks of plywood. He's cut out 2 doors with a jigsaw. Right, that's sorted. A roof. A couple of bits of steel and a welder.
Yeah, and down in the local canvas shop.
Yep. So made up a frame. From there down the canvas shop, and they made up the rest of it. That's sorted.
Done.
Done. Now back seat.
I think it was
a Jeep.
for what I remember, it was probably a cushion or a pillow on a 20-litre drum of fuel.
Yeah. So you can imagine going
there
to
was three.
far north Queensland. So heading up into Maytown, you need some supplies. Now we're a family of 5 in a Jeep, and it's a tiny Jeep.
Fuel consumption's
So-
like,
So one of the things you need is extra fuel, because the Cape at that stage, this is 1980 that we were heading up there. There wasn't exactly all the fuel stops you got now. Like, I mean, there was telegraph station, all that sort of stuff. One of the things you need is fuel. Now a Jeep doesn't hold that much fuel, and there's no such thing as long-range fuel tanks, you know, 4-wheel drive accessories, any of these things in the 70s. And Dad's thought, well, we've got 3 kids, we need 3 seats, and we need extra fuel. So why not fill up 3 20-litre kerosene drums with fuel, plonk that in the back, cushion and towel. Do we have a cushion or was it towel? I don't know. It was something on top, sorted. And that's how we went to Maytown. So,
didn't need seatbelts back then.
so you know, 8, 5 and a 3-year-old. It was the way it was done back in the 80s or the 70s. So, but, you know, mind you, we also had to have food. We would have had a Nesky because there's no fridges back then. A 4-man tent to fit 5 of us because we had to save room, apparently. Yeah, off we went. So, you know, it makes me laugh, I guess, these days when, I mean, even with what we've got, you see people with $150,000 plus setups to go up to places like the Cape, Maytown or whatever. It's nowhere near as bad as it was back then. And the gear that they take, and it, yeah, if you've ever done it the other way, the old way, yeah, it kind of makes you laugh a bit. But what it does for us too is it brings us back to reality a bit.
Well,
like
that's right.
we've got fridges and, you know, good 4-wheel drives with air conditioning. We're not exactly doing it tough either.
Yeah.
But you realise that you don't need the massive big setups. And I guess that was one of the things with our channel was we try and showcase that, I guess, kind of, in a way. You don't need all that sort of stuff to do these trips. So I guess that kind of stemmed from there. But, you know, since then, Dad's had what? Land Cruiser?
Land Cruiser, a couple of Land Rovers.
Couple of Land Rovers. I remember going up to Rainbow Beach when you could actually camp at Rainbow Beach.
Yeah.
You can no longer camp at Rainbow. I don't know when they shut that down, a very long time ago.
Oh.
They used to be able to actually camp right underneath the coloured sands.
When the
Rainbow
Cherry
Beach.
Venture looks like the Mahino these days.
And there's another photo right about now somewhere. That's what the Cherry Venture looked like back then. You can see it's a pretty complete looking boat at that stage. So it, yeah, to see it, well, it's not even there now, is it?
No, it's gone now. Mahino's still there, but
Yeah, the Mahino's still there on Fraser, but Cherry Venture is long gone now.
They took the remains off that a few years ago now.
So we got to see that, and you know, there was actually dingoes and stuff up the freshwater track, proper, you know, purebred dingoes all around, all through there. There's none of that now. They've long gone. From that sort of built our passion up as kids for that whole outdoor lifestyle, and you know, we're forever. You know, Wayne being the bigger brother, he was right into his boats, especially blow-up ones from Kmart.
Yeah.
Any way we could get out to go for a fish, I remember we used to, we'd get into Wayno's boat and the anchor. We used to get 2-litre cordial bottles full of sand with a rope, because obviously a blow-up boat, you couldn't have anything sharp.
Yeah.
So we, 2-litre, 2 of us in a little blow-up dinghy, cordial bottle full of sand. We'd paddle out a little bit offshore and start fishing. And we'd catch, you know, little bream, whiting.
Oh yeah, we'd always catch something.
Honestly, don't remember ever thinking about any size limits back then. I don't know if there was any. But
no, it was just fun to catch fish. And then then it was the 10-foot punt.
10-foot punt. And of course you got to get a 10-foot punt down to the water from where we lived.
Yeah.
Wayne, myself and our mate Alan that used to live up the road had his tinny on,
Yep.
on a trailer. Between the three of us, we'd push our boats, well, their boats. I was just a tag along.
He
down
did
to
most of the pushing because I was the bigger brother, so
So yeah, we'd push that down into down to the boat ramp and launch it out. No cars, just I mean we were too young to drive. And yeah, that was it. The four-wheel drives, how did that come about? Well,
you started that again.
I
You
did.
started that trend.
I kind of did.
Yeah.
And it didn't come from four-wheel driving. It actually came from motorbike riding. So I had a my first car, the old HQ. I did that up. I used to take that down to Willowbank. We'd go drag racing, doing street car stuff, just nothing serious. And then, you know, as my mates, through a mutual friend, I suppose, we sort of all ended up in the car scene, I guess, and we were doing that sort of stuff. But these two mates, brothers, Nev and Jeff, probably watching this right now, they also had dirt bikes. And they'd drop into our place on the way back from a ride just down the road, and I'm always like, oh, man, I'd love to do that. You know, because as kids we were BMX bikes and stuff. Mum and Dad would never let us have a motorbike. So we used to ride mates' bikes and stuff like that, but we were never allowed to have our own. And as time progressed, I sort of got sick of working on cars all the time and just wanted to go and have fun. So eventually, I started riding bikes, and we were doing 2-day rides, endurance rides, and single days, and the cars started falling by the wayside. But once we started getting into 2-day endurance rides, we figured out pretty quickly we needed a four-wheel drive to get the bikes not only to the places, but into the paddocks. You know, we'll always remember the day we went out into a farmer's paddock and it had been raining, and we just had two-wheel drive cars. And old mate Nev, he had a Falcon then as well, and just went until they lost traction in towards where we needed to camp, and basically stopped there, and that was the end. This is where we're camping for the weekend. So we sort of all decided, look, we need four-wheel drives. And so we got four-wheel drives just to get the motorbikes around. I know this is a long story, but bear with me. When you ride dirt bikes and suddenly have a four-wheel drive, you suddenly seem to think, well, what can these four-wheel drives do? And that's where it started. That's where the four-wheel drive started. We would, some of the places we'd ride motorbikes, we'd take the four-wheel drives and see how they go. And one place in particular is four-wheel drive park, which interestingly is reopened. It was shut down for a long time.
Yeah.
It's called Black Duck Valley, around Mount Sylvia, sort of a bit south of Gatton, which was both a motorbike park and a four-wheel drive park. And they would have all the four-wheel drive tracks, and you could drive four-wheel drives as well as ride motorbikes on those. And they also had a dedicated motorbike only area. So we would all go out there with the motorbikes in the morning. We'd be out on the bikes riding all the way around the park, doing all the stuff right up to lunchtime. Go back for lunch, jump in the cars, spend all afternoon four driving and on a lot of the stuff that we were motorbike riding on. And from that time, I'll forever say, if you want to learn the four-wheel drive, if you want to learn the skills, ride a motorbike. Because it teaches you so much about throttle control, clutch control, braking, traction, momentum, you know, when to have it, when not to use it, speed, all those sorts of things.
Even for picking lines,
Yeah, picking lines, all those sorts of stuff.
Yep.
And I'll forever thank motorbike riding for giving me those skills, and because they do transfer over. And even now, we're still riding bikes.
Yep.
We don't film a lot of it. To be honest, a couple of fellas on a bike with a helmet cam riding around trail riding is great for the people riding the bike. Not so much for people watching the helmet cam.
Well, actually, it'd be good if we did it anyway, because I always fall off.
I know.
So we're going to have a funny show.
You know, there's a lot of our outdoor lifestyle we don't film. I'm riding the mountain bikes as well. I try and get out as much as I possibly can. I did that
Crazy.
after I broke both ankles. I shattered both ankles on my motocross bike. I was racing motocross for a little while, and thought, you know, maybe I'll take up something safer, so I took up mountain bike riding. Because it's got pedals, not a motor. But,
Crazy.
but since got back into the trail riding, so We still do a lot of that sort of stuff, and yeah, we need to sort of do a bit more filming around that. I have done a little bit, as you've seen on some of our videos, where I've gone around, found the huts, the old fishing huts around the forestry area where we go. So something along those lines. That's how we kind of got into the forward driving. And then I used to do, when I first started, and Wayno started a little bit after me, but when I first started, I had a 75 series Land Cruiser ute and leaf springs all round, front and rear, as the 75s were, the old naturally aspirated 2H diesel. Get you anywhere you wanted to go, no questions asked. Just took a while. But I put extractors and a 2.5 inch exhaust on it, so that made it better.
Another 5Ks an hour.
The Shorty was the first patrol, and I've only ever had patrols ever since. So I went to another 2002 ute, and currently I've got this ute, which is a 2003 4.2 intercooled turbo, etc. And in between that was this one, the old 3 litre wagon.
I was there at the right time, the right place, and it broke down. He said, "No, had enough of it. You can. I want to get another ute." So I got it. It was just an injector pump, and put a second-hand injector pump on it, and that lasted, I think, about 100,000 Ks. And now it's got a brand new one in there now, so hopefully I'll get the rest of mine. Well, the engine's life out of it. But previous to that, I had a GQ wagon as well. I had 5 kids at that stage. So it had to be a 7-seater, so I couldn't really do much with it. But this one there, we've both just turned them into tourers now. So
they are tourers. We sort of got out of the extreme stuff. So back in the day, they were first set up as, you know, I had my, well, the Shorty was 33-inch tyres, which, you know, big enough for a Shorty.
Well, back then it was the in thing.
Well, yeah, well, that's it. You know, like 35s were a big tyre.
Yeah.
You know? So it had a 3-inch spring lift, it had 2-inch body lift, and 33-inch tyres. I ended up putting a front locker in that one. But short wheel bases, especially when they're tall on hill climbs and stuff, and that's where we were at. The beach driving was, well, for you it was. For me, I just didn't drive beaches for years after I got into four-wheel drive. It was all about rock climbing and hill climbs and all that sort of stuff. But to do that in a short wheelbase, it can be pretty scary sometimes.
Yeah, I'd changed my undies a few times going out four-wheel drive.
So I went, you know what? I need something a bit bigger, and that's when I went to the GU ute.
Yep.
And the GU had 6-inch lift. It had 35-inch tyres. I eventually put that in. No lockers, no winches. No one had winches back then. They were too expensive. Even to have a locker was, you know, like,
yeah, it was all the big brands. All the big brands of winches back then, which are thousands of dollars. But now
you can buy one for a couple $100, and everyone's got one.
Yeah.
And you know, we've both got winches. I do have a front locker in this. It was, as a touring vehicle, it was still a must for me to put a locker in it. I quite often go out by myself. When I say by myself and the missus, we'd go out in the ute, so it had to be capable. And I've since set her Ranger we got for her now. She drags horse floats around and stuff, so she needed the four-wheel drive as well, and she had one before we even met. But because of the grandkids, they can't go in this one. So I'm setting up the Ranger now, and again, we just set, it's just myself, her, a couple of grandkids, we go off by ourselves. So again, set up differently, but still both cars got a winch, that one factory rear locker, all the gear. But yeah, that's so these days it's all about the touring.
Yep.
We still visit four-wheel drive parks.
On the occasion.
Probably twice a year.
Yeah, I'd say twice a year.
Twice a year.
Yep.
For different reasons, we'll go out to a four-wheel drive park. Still love four-wheel driving. It's like we do the medium and the hard tracks these days. We don't do any extreme stuff anymore. That's for 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
Not for us. We're getting on a bit. But we have got this passion for touring, and we always have. Like I said, from a young age, you know, going out and exploring with the old man in in his 4 drives up Rainbow Beach, up Maytown.
Yep. That's why we do this stuff. We've got fond memories of our childhood, so we're just bringing it into our adulthood, and
it's just, it's a lifestyle. When you look at the stresses of life these days with, paying bills, paying mortgages, working, all that sort of stuff, to get out back doing this sort of stuff, it is it's a stress relief. There's no other way to explain it. But it's, sometimes, I don't know about you, but for me, I feel lost a little bit from time to time at home I wouldn't say I'm in the city, but I work in the city. We are out in the outer suburbs, I guess. But as soon as you come out into the bush, it's like, this is where I'm meant to be, then this is where I spend all my time. And it's because growing up, as we did, and kids, Mum used to get upset. Where we used to live, between us and the mangroves, is all bushland, and we were out there for always building cubby houses, making BMX tracks, or we just lived in that bush. And Mum would panic because we'd run around there with no shoes on, and she'd be worried about snakes. I'm sorry, Mum, but I continue the tradition. Once it's in there, once it's hardwired, it doesn't come out.
Yeah, that's right.
So and we're trying to do that with our grandkids now. So what is the name? Why are we changing it? Well, we just told you why we're changing it. What is it?
Yeah. So if you can see that, we're now going to be called...
They can't see that.
Well, I can see it. It's half full of beer. DB Life Outdoors. So we're going away from the whole adventures name.
So Life Outdoors, it's really who we are. It's what we do. It's our life outdoors. It's not a big hurrah!
Hello, yeah.
It's just more, we thought we'd take the opportunity to explain why we're changing the name.
Yeah.
And I guess to give you a bit of an insight as to who we are and what is in a name, why the name matters. And to me it does matter. It sort of sets up for other people, what you're all about. So, and for us it is that outdoor lifestyle, the thing that we've always done. So we're trying to share that with everyone. Especially family, friends, and kids, grandkids. Maybe one day when we're like 90.
Yeah.
And they're in like 1 million K video. They'll look back at this old video and go, look at these 2 old farts.
We might have 400 subscribers.
So even though this is our last episode for DB Adventures, we are just about to wrap up filming for the very first episode of DB Life Outdoors. Tomorrow will be our last day of filming. We do get a lot of questions asked about, where are you? What do why can't you tell us where you are? And I have touched on this before. I've touched on this in one of our other videos. Well, probably a couple actually.
I think, a few. But,
And today coming into here, looking at where we were, and it really started to make me think. One of the big reasons, like we go on about rubbish, we go on about people leaving stuff everywhere or wrecking the places, but
graffiti,
all that sort of stuff, and that comes when the numbers come, and there are other things that come when there's numbers. So where we are, there's nobody here. There's 0 other people here. And where we've been, there's been very few people, maybe a couple of people.
I think we were there for 3 days and there was a couple of stragglers turned up here and there, but
And because it's not well-known places, and I see it with a lot of the common places. So you see the islands, you see Cape York, you see Simpson Desert. When the big names get out there and they start filming and, everybody wants to go there. And so everybody does. But what happens is, it's aside from all the rubbish and stuff, people, and I'm talking about the people that are in charge of these areas, they see the amount of people going through, and suddenly there needs to be infrastructure, because if there's 100 cars a day going somewhere, then the tracks are getting chewed up. So then suddenly, we need to stop that from happening. So then the boards come in, or the tracks, and people are driving off the tracks, so now we've got to put bollards in. We've got walking tracks where, like, we've been on walking tracks it's just a beaten path. It's literally you just going through and go, well, is this a walking track or is this made by wallabies? I think it's both. But anyway, those sorts of things, suddenly they're boarded up. They've got planks. There's chains or a fence or all these sorts of things because of the amount of people that go there, and it needs to be protected. By not saying where we are and not, we're showing you that these places exist and that you can come here, but by not saying, we're not drawing the crowds in, so that when people do the research and they come here, they're getting that same adventure of, oh wow, look, I'm here by myself. I'm isolated.
Oh, it's pristine. Oh, there's no rubbish. Oh,
and we're kind of keeping that for everybody, not just us. To me, it's quite selfish. I'm not saying it's selfish for me to say, oh, I don't want anyone else here. I think it's selfish the opposite way. I think it's selfish for someone like us or anybody else to come here and go, wow, this is great, there's nobody here, and this is where we are, and then suddenly there's a million people, so that the next person goes, oh, wow, that's a nice spot, there's nobody there, let's go there. Oh, it's too late.
Yeah.
I can't experience that anymore. I don't get to do that because you told everyone, and everyone's here, and now nobody gets to experience that. To me, that's selfish on the part of the person that reveals where all these places are, because a lot of them, they're making money out of it, out of YouTube, and everyone wants to see that. They want to see, oh, where's the next spot I can go to? Okay, I'll watch this person because they'll tell me where they are. That person's making money off it, gone, it's finished, they're done, they don't need to be here anymore, they've made their dollar out of it, and they've basically just obliterated it for everybody else.
And in saying that, there's nothing wrong with doing that for those sort of things, but we're the opposite to them.
It's just, I just think there is certain amount of places where you should have that balance, I suppose. I want there to still be areas where you can go that are not well known, and you get to have them because you look at your islands, and like I said, the Cape, the Simpson Desert, and all that. They're well known. Everybody knows to go there. They're iconic. We want to go there. Everyone else wants to go there. But the infrastructure's starting to change in those areas because of it. So the adventure that, say, we had in Maytown, when we did that Maytown track, we did the old coach road. That was the only road into there. It was the original old coach road. Now there's a bypass road that goes in the back. You can still do the coach road, but when we did it, it was an adventure because you had no choice. If you wanted to get to Maytown, it was the old coach road, or you just didn't go. And that will be forever ingrained in my brain.
Oh, yeah.
I was only 5 years old, but there's certain things that I remember from that trip. And
me too.
And that's the sort of stuff as a kid we had, and I want to try and keep that. It's harder and harder these days. And I think there needs to be areas where people can go, righto, I'm going to go over to Fraser Island, Moreton Island, whatever. You catch the barge. You can still have, everybody knows about it, but you can still have a campsite and people camp here and there or whatever. But I think there still needs to be that balance of those sites where you go, you know what, I'm going to this place and there's a good chance I'll be by myself. And I don't know what's there. If you find this place, you'll come in and you'll go, wow, look at this. I did see that, but I didn't expect that this is where it was. Or, there's still some sort of sense of adventure there. And to be honest, the stuff that we've seen just driving in, you can't capture it on camera. As much as we try. To be out there and just look at this big, wide expanse of all the stuff that we've seen, you've got to see for yourself. So...
And we had no idea it was there. It's just you're driving on, you're going, look at that.
So that day that you go, you know what, I'm going to check out this spot. I don't know that I've ever seen anyone here or seen anything about it. And you go there and you see it, and you probably won't even remember that you saw it from our video because you'll be blown away by the scenery, and it's something new. So the other thing I wanted to touch on too is respect. Respect of the land, respect of where you are. So a great man. I didn't make this one up. I remember a great man. His name was John Ruth. Everyone's heard of old Ruthie. He once said that no matter where you go in Australia, someone is in charge of that land, and It doesn't matter if it's private property. It doesn't matter if it's government owned, whether that becomes, you know, state land, crown land, national park, whether it's an Aboriginal corporation. Someone is in charge of that land that you're travelling on. Those people make the decisions of whether you get to stay there, get to go there in the first place, or whether they're going to stop you from going there. So if you go into these places and you make an impact, a negative impact, you're leaving rubbish everywhere, you're trashing the place, whatever, they will just go, you know what, it costs us money that we don't have, or it's too much effort for us. It's just so much easier to shut that gate and nobody goes there. And I try and live by, I guess it's a motto of nobody needs to know I was there. And I don't mean I'm being sneaky. What I mean is I'll go into a place quite legally and whatever. But once I leave, it looks like I was never there.
Yep.
That's the way you need to leave it. The people that make the rules need to come in and go, are we actually getting visitors? That could work bad sometimes, but
well, they'll see tyre tracks. That's all you're leaving.
But
That's
if
the only
they know
footprint you're
people are
leaving.
using it, but it doesn't look like they've been here, these places stay open for a very long time because they can say that people are respecting the place. They're looking after it. That's the sort of thing we need to teach the next generations, and that's the things we need to practice for ourselves. So do your part. Understand that somebody is in charge of where you are, and someone has the power to stop you and everybody else going there. So look after these places.
So it's even coming here, you're driving through people's cattle properties to get to these places. They can crack it and say, no,
That's actually a good point.
You know, doing that as well. So
that's actually a good point. I think everywhere we've been, these access roads are going through private properties. And some of these roads, they can, and they have in the past. Some of these roads
before.
They've opened up to allow people to access these areas, and they can quite honestly go, these people are going off doing doughies in my paddocks, which I'm trying to grow grass for my cattle. And no more. I can't afford, this is my livelihood. I can't afford to not have it, especially in drought areas where we are. They would just shut the gates and go, it is not worth my livelihood to allow someone to come in and just do some donuts. So they shut the gates. So be aware of that. Follow the rules. Stick on the tracks. You know, look after these places, and we'll all get to enjoy it for a lot longer yet. So we're just about to wrap up here. We are filming the first episode of DB Life Outdoors. Tomorrow's the last day of that. So we'll be heading home after that. We've been out for 2 weeks. It's been a great trip. It really has. It's been a bit of an eye opener.
It has actually.
And,
it has.
So
it comes back to we know where we're going. We get there and we go, wow, we didn't expect this.
Yeah.
Simple. That's all it comes down to.
I encourage people, do your research, get out, explore, visit the sites, make it look like you were never there. We'll forever be able to come to these places. Nowhere we've been as usual. Nowhere's been off limits to everybody else. We have been on private properties. One major private property, you'll see that coming up, but that's still open to anybody. So that's. But we'll get right into that in the next video. But until then, signing off as DB Adventures. Look after Australia, and
don't destroy
what you came to enjoy. Take care.